Hey, everybody, I'm back. It's been a while, and I apologize for that. I was traveling for my day job last week, so I got a little behind, not just in this series, Don't Read the Comments, but in a lot of other matters. Plus, I've taken up the weird hobby of writing 3,000 plus word written reviews for Kickseek.com, some of which you get some feedback on in just a little bit. But here's the deal. If you're not familiar with this little series, I ignore some really great advice from my friend Mark the Movie Man Krawcheck over at the Spoiler Room, and I read the comments. I read every comment that comes into kickseat.com, the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, or the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page for your amusement and enjoyment, and also, dare I say, education. This week, or this edition of it, will feature some, unlike past Don't Read the Comments segments, not all of these missives are friendly. So we're going to get a nice healthy dose of the profound, the not so flattering, and the downright interesting and thoughtful and elaborate. So without further ado, let's get into these comments. First up, we have Eating with Sylvia commenting on the Watermelon Man episode that Pat, the Uber critic McDonald, and I did last year. She says, I've never heard of this before, but it's not funny. He's racist. I don't really know what to think. It's kind of an interesting comment because I also just noticed that this comment is being grabbed by the thumbnail. It's pretty interesting. But no, Sylvia, I would just say that if you consider this to be a racist movie, if that's what you're talking about, I don't assume you're not referring to Pat and I's commentary on the film. But Watermelon Man was a very influential film by the late, great Melvin Van Peebles, which we've covered on this show. We also talked about a movie after this film called Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, also by Van Peebles. Watermelon Man, for those of you who haven't caught the episode, is about a prejudiced white man who wakes up one morning to find out that he has been transformed into a black man. And what does that do to his worldview and to his relationships? It's a very funny, very disturbing, especially by modern day sensibilities, movie, but it's not a racist film. I don't know if you did not watch our discussion or just unfamiliar with Melvin Van Peebles, but I assure you he's the furthest thing from a racist white guy as possible. Now, again, I didn't get full context on this comment, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but there it is. Consider your answer or your question answered. Next, we have our good friend Petty commenting all the way from Argentina on the last episode of Don't Read the Comments. I love it when people comment on the comment videos. It's always fun. But Petty actually wrote in to say, this is the second time I've seen the video, and I'm pleasantly surprised again by all the positive things it says about your friend David. Let me just pull back here a second and say that a rather unflattering comment was left for my co-host David Fowley on our Moonfall episode. And so Petty is responding to my response, which you can check out in that video, which will be linked below, along with all the other videos that we talk about today. The first time I saw it, I had the impulse to comment on it, but it didn't seem appropriate. Now I'm going to run the risk of seeming out of place and say, true friends may not be there to celebrate the good things, but they sure are there when you're going through a tough time. You are a lucky man to have a friend like David. Yes, I would agree. I'm very fortunate to know David Fowley of Keeping It Real, who has actually launched his own movie review YouTube channel, and I'll link that below too. As long as I remember to do that, I should write that down. Anyhow, David is a great friend. I also respect him as a critic and a thinker and a lover of movies. And so you can watch that video to find out a little bit more on my thoughts on not only David, but also that comment. Also, nice episode. Keep it positive from Freebird7. Thank you, Freebird. Doing our best here at Kicking the Seat. Now, this one is a little bit, I don't know, self-serving on the part of my co-host and dear friend Cole Rush of The Quill to Live. He wrote in with a comment on the episode we did together, our page-to-screen of Stephen King's The Green Mile. Loved this chat. Mr. Jingles for life. Couldn't agree more, sir. Although, I don't know if this actually counts because, you were on the episode. I would hope that you love this chat. Next, we have a comment from James Gencarelli, who wrote in regarding the education of a legitimate wise guy. My interview with writer and director Nick Celozzi last last year. Sorry, time flies, but not that much. He says his name ends in a vowel and his reputation is 100%. I'll back him up and sit down for him anytime. This, I believe, is in response to another comment that was received on that video from someone who was not as flattering. I didn't pull that comment up because it was from last year, and whatever. You can look up this video and check out that comment if you like. But I would agree. I don't know Nick that well, except for the couple of times that I've talked to him. Couple of times for this show. He's actually got a new movie that's should be in post-production coming out this year called The Class, which looks very interesting. I did a red carpet event for that last year, which is when I met Mr. Anthony Michael Hall, who is a star of the film. So yeah, from what I know of Nick, he seems like a really nice guy, cool dude. His family certainly has a certain reputation, which we talked about in our interview, but I'm not going to hold the sins of the family against him if there are in fact sins. So I'm not here to judge on that score. Next, we have some feedback from Doug Cooper on our Hammerland episode of Dracula, Prince of Darkness. He says, well, I'd say that all through these films call one after the other. They are each separate stories within their own, so although we think of them as sequels, I'll say they were made just with the idea. They stand based on Bram Stoker's character of Dracula with a slight connection to each other, but besides that, I'd say these films aren't very much connected. Really, I think they were made to stand on their own as individual different films. If you really want the slasher syndrome, I'd say Scars of Dracula 1970 is really the closest to that, when Dracula murders a woman horrifically with a knife. I don't remember the knife murder, and I know we've covered that film on the show, but I'll have to go check that out. So thank you, Doug. Yeah, I'm a kid of the 80s and up through some people say I'm still a kid. So I tend to look at movies almost with a franchise mentality, especially when they're connected somehow. Is there a direct sequel following storyline between one Dracula film to another? Same with Frankenstein, same with Alien, same with everything. I just tend to think that way. So getting back to the not self-contained mindset is sometimes a challenge for me. Doug also writes in, by the by, guys, a few things you missed. So while Diana was in the room resting, her sister-in-law is not trying to get in through the door. Remember, Helen as a vampire starts tapping on the window to try and get Diana to let her in. Secondly, at the end, when Diana takes the gun from Father Sandor and tries to shoot Dracula and misses, so by accident, Dracula's demise by drowning in water happens. One really cool thing about this film on VHS is with a special edition, you have candid extra footage while they were filming, and a really great extra. Sports fans, the actors, actresses narrate the footage. Awesome memories. There's a little bit of soup there at the end of that comment, but I'll take it for what it is. And VHS, I have a VCR back there in my wall ode to dead technology, but I don't have that particular VHS. I'll have to see if it's on YouTube. But yeah, thanks again for writing in, Doug. Next, we have a comment on the American Graffiti review I did with Pat the Uber Critic McDonald, with whom I also discussed Watermelon Man. Saw this at the movie theater when it came out. I was 9 years old, and it cemented my love affair with cars. I've seen the other movie over 100 times. I assume that means this one, and even built a 55 Chevy replica of the car Harrison Ford drove in the movie. This is the highest grossing film at its time. Without the success of this film, we probably would never have got Star Wars. So you can thank AG for getting Star Wars. The movie gave Lucas the green light after making around $100 million off this film from the movie studio. Thanks for the great review. First movie to have music nonstop from beginning to end. Candy Clark was nominated for an Academy Award and ultimately lost to Tatum O'Neal for Paper Moon. Well, this is one of the things I love about comments like this. Instead of the first comment, which for Watermelon Man that we discussed, I appreciate everybody writing in and giving their opinion, but context is key. So when you get something nice and elaborate, Benji says why he loves the movie, has some trivia, some educational knowledge for me and for the audience. This is an A1 plus comment, as I would say is Doug's from a couple slides ago. Next, we have a comment on Nightmare Alley from Diego, which I reviewed with David Fowley of Keeping It Real again. While this was a movie, not a documentary, you correctly identified what wouldn't be in an actual carnival. Also, when they are bringing down the tents in the rain, real canvas circus workers would never step on the canvas to put it down on the ground, because that causes holes, which means leaks when it rains. but would let it settle down and then roll it. I mean, honestly, I'm learning so much here from you guys. This is wonderful. It's not just hey, your review was great, or hey, it sucks. Hey, your review was pretty good, and here's some trivia. I dig this. You guys are the best. Diego also says, would be interesting when both of you have read the book to then comment on it. Keep in mind the Postal Inspection Service labeled it pornography and banned foreign distribution of it back then. Yeah, and this is something that David and I touched on. I actually read the novel in preparation for watching the remake and also discussing the version from the 40s, which honestly, as they say, the book is always better than the movie. It is so much better than Del Toro's version. I like the version from the 40s simply because it had restraints and had to get a little inventive with the story and the way it told it. There's no excuses for Del Toro this time, and the Oscar nomination is still kind of a puzzlement to me, but you know, that's neither here or there. I'm not here to soapbox. I'm here to read comments. All right, next comment on our Son of Hammerland episode on the Quatermass. Sorry, if I'm going to pronounce it like they do in the movie, Quatermass experiment from 1955. Very interesting analysis of this film. Also check out Quatermass. Aaron, my beloved co-host on the Hammerland series, is going to that the profanity jar is up to 1,000 with the number of times I mispronounce this word. Also check out Quatermass and the Pit. Good news, Louis Philippe Deloro. We're going to be talking about Quatermass and the Pit later this summer. It's on the schedule and on the docket, and I cannot wait to check it out. All right. This has been an overlong episode of Don't Read the Comments for reasons that we have discussed before, but also because the quality of the comments, the length of the comments is getting more and more, shall I say, voluminous. Now we have Jake McClake 2, whose letter in the comment of our career opportunities episode that I did with Eric Childress goes on for 3 slides. So I hope you got some coffee. In fact, I'm going to take a sip before I read this thing. Thank you for your review, Eric and Ian. Oh, one moment. I must, in case Eric Childress actually sees this, I have to call it out. No fault of yours, Jake McClake 2, but Eric is spelled with a K. Eric Childress is very particular about this and very protective of Eric spelled with a K. Eric's everywhere. So here I am standing up for the little guy. Not that anyone named Eric is a little guy. Anyway, for me, I am a fan of this movie and it is worth watching. I watched it well over 100 times. It is worth it. This is not the same person who watched American Graffiti over 100 times, but man, there's some dedicated folks out there. It is worth it, if for nothing else, than to figure out which famous town this movie will end in. There are numerous clues to which famous town the movie will end in throughout this movie, but the name of the town is never said. Answering some of the questions raised in the commentary, yes, Jim Dodge and Ferris Bueller are quite similar, and they both have a similar talent. The first scene is Jim Dodge telling the dogs about the gruesome murder in Salzburg and his non-existent experience with the FBI and the fact he is going on a trip by jet with a date that night. It appears this scene helps show Jim Dodge as a person who lives in a fantasy. Because he lives in a fantasy, he develops his talent, which relates to fantasy. That talent earns him the nickname Town Liar in this small town that does not understand his talent. He demonstrates his talent when dealing with the crooks in several scenes, but especially in the scene which he convinces the crooks there are men with infrared scopes aiming at their heads. Although nothing to do with the talent of the characters, a particularly beautiful scene in the movie in which Josie asks Jim how she can make it up to him for being so cold in high school. Jim tells her he would like to dance with her, and she responds, "I thought you were going to say something different." Jim comes back with, "Well, first things first." That scene is followed by a dance during which Jim appears to be thinking, should I kiss her? But he has already told Josie first things first, which to her means slow down. So she does not make the first move to the kiss because he said first things first. He has to make that move, and when he finally does, she puts her lips right there for him to kiss. That was a really nice scene. The rocking horse scene may be sexploitation, but is also an important part of the scene of the movie that shows Josie shows off her talent, which was misunderstood in this small town, but earned her the nickname Tease. With her talent, she convinces one of the crooks she is interested in him, so they will, as she predicted, take her with them. This enables her to steal the crook's car, get away, and come back for Jim later, as she told him she was going to do. Despite the fact that she has the crook convinced her of her interest, obviously she has no interest in that crook. She seems like she had interest because she has a certain talent for convincing people of what she wants them to believe. There is a name for that talent. The movie is simply about two people who share a talent, and they eventually recognize this talent in each other, and in the end, that talent lands them in a town that is famous for their talent to find career opportunities. Finally, in the last scene, Jim looks up at a sign with the name of the town on it and sees it as Jimwood. First of all, there has to be a Guinness World Record out there for the number of times someone can use the word talent in a comment or indeed a YouTube video. So, yes, I would imagine that you are a nominee and probably a front runner. But yes, thank you very much for your comment. I agree with all that stuff. And I hadn't actually made that connection in career opportunities about the reputations of this small town kind of belying the innate, I'll say it again, talents of our protagonists, who people will cast off as, you know, not being particularly stardom bound or success driven. So yeah, very well done. Thank you. All right. Halloween Kills, a movie I did not like as much as Career Opportunities. Make of that what you will. From Jay Ashraf, new to your channel, loved your review. Evil dies tonight. Yes, it does. And thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you come back for our inevitable review of Halloween Ends, coming this year, next year, who cares? Next up, we have another comment from Petty regarding the Batman 2022 live stream review we did with Earth's Mightiest Critics just a few days ago. Petty writes in to say, this day has been very hard for me because an uncle of mine passed away who was like a second father to me. Participating in your live show helped me distract myself for a few moments from this great pain that I feel, and that is why I want to send you my thanks. Greetings, and I will be seeing it in the next edition. Well, thank you very much, Betty. I'm truly sorry for your loss, and I extend the good wishes and the comfort of the rest of Earth's Mightiest Critics, sending that your way with lots of love. I know this can be a very difficult time to lose a loved one, and I'm glad that, you know, our goofy little internet show can offer you some entertainment, maybe some laughs, and some things to think about other than grief. So. Best wishes. And yes, we're going to have lots more live stuff for you to engage with coming up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, we hope to have you on board. So thanks again. Also relating to the Batman live stream, can't believe I missed the live. Darn it. Great insights from everyone. This is from I Remain Productions. Well, I Remain, it sounds like you were able to catch up with the show later. So thank you for your endorsement. We're going to close out things with some comments that came in on Kickseek.com. That's the Kicking the Seat website. This is from Kara, who wrote in with a review of A Brilliant Young Mind, a 2014 film that I reviewed in 2015. She said, thank you for saying everything I am thinking and feeling regarding this movie. I came across your comments as a result of Googling, why didn't A Brilliant Young Mind receive any awards? I'm so moved by this film, and Asa Butterfield was remarkable. Agree. And then Kara says, I had to come back and acknowledge that Asa Butterfield did indeed win awards for his acting in A Brilliant Young Mind. I didn't realize that the film was originally titled X+Y. It is under this name that the awards are listed. Glad to see it. Well, I'm glad too. And again, I'm learning stuff left and right. I didn't realize the title is X+Y either. So very cool. Next, we have a comment on The Batman. This is based on my 3,300 plus word review of The Batman that I wrote that came out the day after the Earth's Mightiest Critics live stream. We got some differing opinions on my opinion of the film, kicking things off with Satseeg. I can't read. Thank you. This was really good. Not sure what people are smoking. I thought the movie was bland as hell. A few observations. Batman driving Batmobile takes about a half hour to catch up to a middle-aged man getting a regular car. To create a distraction at a political event, you need to flood the whole city. That's not overkill. And Riddler was about the same plan as Joker in The Dark Knight, getting caught up intentionally. At least Joker's capture scene was interesting. Wholeheartedly agree on all points. And sorry for anybody who has not seen The Batman yet. Maybe there's some spoilers in there. Let me see. Kind of, maybe for the climax, but, you know, it's nothing that's going to break your brain open, much like the movie. Anyhow, moving on to Larsky. You gave this movie a 2 out of 5, but the new Texas Massacre, 4 out of 5. You must be out of your mind. Well, That is debatable in many regards, but I will say this brings up a fascinating and oft discussed aspect of film criticism, which is the rating system, and why I don't usually do ratings, except that on Rotten Tomatoes, as a certified tomato meter critic, I don't know if I should be proud or embarrassed of that, depending on who you are. I'm either or. I kid. I actually am pretty proud to be a Rotten Tomatoes approved critic, because I spent a long time trying to get into that, gain that distinction, and now here I am. But Tomato Meter requires some kind of a rating before critics post the review, so I've gone to a 5 scale. I did indeed give The Batman 2 out of 5 stars because I didn't think it was a very good movie. I gave Texas Massacre 4 out of 5 stars because I thought it was, well, I thought it was a movie much like The Batman that didn't need to exist. But if it was going to exist, I think it did a number of things that made it at least worthwhile, if you catch my meaning. If you want to understand the full context of those remarks, go and read all 6,000 words of both reviews combined, and you'll get an idea. But let's talk about ratings for a second. Let's say I review a movie like The Usual Suspects, and I say that that is a 4 out of 5 star or whatever film. And then I say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is also a 4 out of 5 star film. Am I saying that The Usual Suspects is on par with the Texas Massacre? Or actually, strike that, reverse it, as Willy Wonka would say. Do I think Texas Massacre is as good a film as The Usual Suspects? No, even though I did give them the same rating, or would have in that hypothetical scenario. What that means, let me just say, film criticism, in terms of the writing, putting together a well-crafted review, can be a science. But opinions and ratings, that's more of an art. Because, I'm not necessarily comparing a 5 out of 5 horror movie to Citizen Kane, which would be a 5 out of 5, art film or classic or whatever. I'm just taking the movie as it is. When I'm watching it, am I like, I think this movie in and of itself, based on criteria that I've established as a film reviewer, that is not on some kind of a giant chart. It's not a big checkbox where I'm saying it meets this criteria and this criteria and this criteria. It's all basically built around, feelings and a little bit of analysis. So when I say that, yeah, Batman 2 out of 5, didn't enjoy it. Texas Massacre 4 out of 5. I mean, I do happen to think that The Batman is not as good a movie for a lot of reasons as Texas Chainsaw 22, but it's apples and oranges. One is a comic book movie, a big blockbuster. The other is a direct-to-Netflix, pseudo slasher film. So I don't know if I've cleared up anything in regards to that, but there you have it. And we'll end on a high note here with Obi-Wan Kenobi's comment on the Batman written review, the 3,300 word plus review that I wrote, that I appreciate you having taken the time to read, but let's check out this critique. This review is so confusing, not because the reviewer dislikes the movie, but because he fails to make a coherent argument against it. I've seen more thoughtful writing in comment section of YouTube videos. Well, assuming you did read the entire thing, thank you. It was a gargantuan effort that, yeah, sometimes I wonder, is anybody going to read this? And the answer is clearly yes. However, coherent argument, yes, I admit, chopped up into several very long, rambling, hundreds of word long sections, it could be a bit much for some to handle. I did my best to tie things together to have a nice flow and all that. So yeah, I don't think it's incoherent. It might not be the traditional criticism you're used to, but I at least had some points and I think I hit them. But perhaps it is the key to your criticism, the making a coherent argument against the film. Perhaps, Obi-Wan, Mr. Kenobi, if that is your real name, that you think that I'm making points for the film. Maybe you think that by pointing out all the script cliches and the stolen material from other Batman movies, or the fact that the characters and situations have been deconstructed to the point of being unrecognizable as Batman heroes and villains, perhaps the underscoring of the kind of gross bits of wokeness peppered throughout the movie, perhaps even just wondering why in the hell Warner Brothers would greenlight a comic book movie that feels embarrassed to be based on comic books. Maybe you think these are pros. These are reason to go out and see The Batman by Matt Reeves. Well, I disagree. So I made my arguments against it, coherent or incoherent as you may think they are. I think I did a pretty good job. And as we saw a couple of comments ago, I'm not alone. So I will leave it at that. Thank you for reading and for commenting. Though we might disagree, I'm not exactly sure what we're disagreeing on. So that's that. And that's Don't Read the Comments, edition number 6, I believe. Thank you very much for writing in, for commenting on Kicking the Seat or the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel or the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. As you can see, I read absolutely everything and anything that you send me, positive, negative, confusing, in-depth, whatever. I love to see and hear the feedback and to share it with all of you. I started this series because I would get comments now and then, and I felt just writing little thumbs up emojis or one-word answers was not nearly enough. There's a lot to learn from this interaction. I like the fact that it is an interaction and not just a one-way street. So thank you. If you would like to see your comments read or responded to right here, pseudo live on your own Don't Read the Comments video, please, all you have to do is leave a comment on kickseek.com, the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, or the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. You can leave that on written reviews, live streams, interviews, anything you want, and I'll respond to them, as you can see by this video. So thank you very much. As we've demonstrated, this has been a 3-week backlog of material here, so I'm not complaining. Hopefully this hasn't been too excruciating for you. And yeah, until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thanks very much for watching the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel and joining in Don't Read the Comments. Take care. Oh, and of course, make sure you're subscribed to the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel and you're following the Facebook fan page, and you've got the Kicking the Seat website, kickseat.com, bookmarked, so you can find out when people leave comments and just drool in anticipation to my reactions to them in an upcoming video. Now, seriously, that's all. Go home, as Ferris Bueller would say.